Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This channel, Earth Science, is all about trying to learn various concepts of learning science by practicing a lot of questions. In this video, we are going to solve this question on Leetcode regarding find books with no available copies. The difficulty level of this question is easy, and I am going to share the SQL schema as well as the Panda schema in the description box below. Okay, the question reads: we are given a table called library books with 6 different columns: book ID, title, author, genre, publication year, and total copies. Book ID is the unique identifier for this table. Each row contains information about a book in the library, including the total number of copies owned by the library. We are also given a second table called borrowing records with 5 different columns: record ID, book ID, borrower name, borrow date, and return date. Record ID is the unique identifier for this table. Each row represents a borrowing transaction and return date is null if the book is currently borrowed and hasn't been returned yet. Okay. We are asked to write a solution to find all books that are currently borrowed, that is not returned, and have 0 copies available in the library. A book is considered currently borrowed if there exists a borrowing record with a null return date. Then we need to return the result table ordered by current borrowers in descending order and then by book title in ascending order. Okay, so might be a lot of information. Let's go through this example. It would be more clear for us now. So here we have 6 different book IDs, their title, author, genre. The most important thing for us is the number of copies available in the library. And then we have borrowing records. So let's look at book ID 1. So book ID 1, we have 3 different records. Now let's see how many have null return date. So you have a null return date here, here as well as here. So basically 3 different copies of book ID 1 is currently borrowed and they have not been returned. How many we had in the library? 3 different copies. So all copies that were available in library have been borrowed and their current status is still borrowed. They have not been returned. So how many copies of this book ID 1 remain in the library? 0. And that is what we need to output, right? All the books that are currently borrowed and have 0 copies available. So book ID 1 should be in the output, and that is what we have. So to solve this question, what we can basically do is we can use this borrowing records table group by the book ID where your return date is null, and we can see, okay, how many copies of this particular book have been currently borrowed. So let's start with it. From this table called borrowing records, what we are going to do is we are only concerned about books that have been currently borrowed, right? And the way to identify it is you have a borrow date and there is no return date. So which means where your return date is null for these books which are currently borrowed, group by the book ID, right? Group by the book ID. And then what we can do is return me the book ID and count the number of distinct record ID, and this will give us the number of copies borrowed. So let us write number borrowed. Okay, let me go ahead and run this and let's see what do we get in our output. So if we look at this, our output is these are 5 different books and the number of copies that are currently borrowed. What we need is, if you look at our output from the table, the initial table that we have, library books, you need all the first 5 columns, right, in your output, and then you need the current borrowers. So what we have, number of borrowers here from this particular query that we just created. So what we can do is we can save this entire thing in a common table expression. So with CTE as, this entire thing goes into parentheses, and then what we need is from the library books. Remember, so here you have 5 different books, right, in your output, but initially you had 6 different books. So this book, book ID 5, the catcher in the rye, has one total copy and it is not been borrowed yet. So you need to consider all that as well. So that is why from the table called library books, what we are going to do is, let us alias this as B. Let us perform a left join of the common table expression. Let's alias this as C on B dot book ID is equal to C dot book ID. And then let us return in our output, we want all the first 5 columns. So B dot book ID, then B dot title, B dot author. We also need the genre, so B dot genre, and B dot publication year. And we also need the number of current borrowers. So that is what we have already calculated from the borrowing records table, that you can simply do C dot number of borrowers, and let's alias this as what they require in our output. So let me just copy this and paste it here. Now, if I go ahead and run this, it's still not complete, but let me go ahead and run this. So here, what you have in this case is, if we look at our output currently, it has all the different books that we had. So these are the 6 different books that you originally had, and then how many current borrowers are there. But we don't need this. We need to filter to only those who have 0 copies available in the library, right? That is what we require. So we need to filter. So when we say 0 copies, the number of total copies available minus the total number of current borrowers, if that comes out to be 0, that means there is no copies that remain in the library. So keep only those where b dot total copies minus C dot number of borrowers is equal to 0. And then we need to order this by, so order by current borrowers in descending manner, and then by title in ascending manner. Okay, I think this looks good. Let me go ahead and run this. Let's see what do we get in our output. So yeah, if you look at it, it's accepted. If we look at our output is exactly same as expected output. Let me go ahead and submit to see pass all the test cases or not. So yeah, this is accepted, and this is how to do it. So yeah, somewhat tricky question, kind of lengthy as well. But what we basically did was, from the borrowing records, we made sure that for every book ID, let's count how many are in currently borrowed status. So which means your return date is null. Once we got that information, what we did was we basically performed a left join of that common table expression with the library books, so that we have all the required information, as well as only report those who have 0 copies available. And the way to do that is, what is the initially total number of copies available in the library, and subtract that from the number of borrowers that we have. If there are 3 copies and 3 borrowers, the amount that remains in the library is 0, and we report only those. So this is how we do it. Let me know if there's a better, more efficient solve this question. Let the solution be in the comment section below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.